Trying to fumble this. Okay, call the meeting of August 14th to order. The first order of business would be request from the CEO, Dawn Mincer, to go into a closed session to discuss her performance review. Dawn, do you request that?
Yes, I would request a closed session for my performance review.
Okay. I'll do this through roll call.
Paul, this is Scott Jacobs from Calhoun County. I move that we go into closed session according to Chapter 21.5 of the Iowa Code.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Cecil. I have a motion and a second to go into closed hearing, or closed session for this hearing. I will, or not hearing, but review. I will call this, do a roll call vote. Woodbury County?
Aye.
Crawford?
Aye.
Cherokee?
Aye.
Calhoun?
Aye.
Carroll?
Yes.
And we have SAC and Ida are absent. Buena Vista is also an aye. We're going to go into closed session. I will reconvene the meeting for August 14th. Instead of jumping back and forth. The roll call of counties, we'll start with that in introductions. And Jeremy, you want to start us off? We'll go down.
Jeremy Keeler, Woodbury County. Cecil Bloom, Crawford County.
Dennis Bush, Cherokee County.
Paul Martin, Buena Vista County.
Scott Jacobs, Calhoun County.
Neil Bach, Carroll County.
Brent Wilhelm, Sac County.
Nicole Arms, Sioux City.
Kim Kelleher, Plains Area Mental Health. Julie Albright, Woodbury County, Rolling Hills. Lisa Bringle, Rolling Hills.
21 year Woodbury County Sheriff's Office.
Dennis Butler, Woodbury County.
Louise Calvin, Coordinator of the Region.
John Menzer, CEO.
Melissa Drake, Plains Area. Lisa Mayer, Coordinator with the Region. Cindy Wiley with Goodwill of the Great Plains.
I'm Nicole Eaton with Sioux Rivers Regional Assessment Stabilization Center in Sioux Limited.
Thank you. Okay. The minutes of the previous meeting, we don't have those in hard copy here, but they were all sent out. Did anybody have any questions? Or if you need to, I think they were July.
June.
Or June, well, from the June meeting, but I think they were sent from on July 1st or 2nd. I think in your emails, if you didn't print those off. Anybody have any questions on the minutes of the previous meeting? If not, is there a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make a motion that we approve the June minutes.
Okay, thank you.
Second.
That was from Neil? Brent. Okay, thank you, Brent. A motion and a second to approve the minutes of the June meeting. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Now the approval of the agenda. Dawn, do we need to add anything to today's agenda?
No.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve this agenda?
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Second from Dennis. Neil.
Who's motion?
Neil?
Neil, okay.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next up, we have set aside a time in our meeting for comments from the public. Is there anybody from the public that would like to speak on anything not on today's agenda? Okay. Hearing none, we'll move along. Number 7, unfinished business, the monthly financial report.
All right. For those of you that grabbed a handout from the table, there's just a small discrepancy in today that was corrected. So the board has the corrected copy. I will talk through the numbers. It was a $1,000 difference in the payment versus the contribution from Woodbury County. So just as we're talking through the numbers, be aware that the numbers look different. Okay, so beginning cash balance for the region and the counties as of July 1st, 2019 was $3,552,284.11. We received revenues in the amount of $1,063,405.51, and expenditures for the counties and the region were $2,118,083.43. That included the majority of the county payments that were made during the month of July. We are still awaiting receipt of payments from IDA, which won't be coming until probably October. And Sac County has not submitted their quarterly payment, but I spoke with the auditor's office last week, Brent, and they will process that and get that one paid next week. Somehow in the shuffle of the email with all the invoices, they didn't either receive it or got deleted, so I sent a new one. So that should be coming yet this month. Ending cash balance for the region and the counties was $2,496,806.19. We received the first Woodbury County contribution, and their payments plus surplus funds were $1,231,592.33. Expenditures for July for Woodbury County, which are being tracked separately in an Excel file, ended up being $520,362.95, and the vast majority of those dollars went to what you see on nominal for their first quarter LACA payment, which left Woodbury County with an ending balance of $711,229.83. Keep in mind the numbers that I have here are from information I was able to pull together based on the expenditures we were tracking and the amount that they sent us. The Woodbury County month-end reports for July were not ready when I did this report yesterday because they are transitioning over to the Tyler Encode. Started that July 1st, and I think that they had some challenges with it. So eventually I will get the numbers, but this is the best that I can give you as of today. So the projection for Woodbury County, just to kind of keep this in front of you as far as what they are contributing versus expenses going out. The contribution from Woodbury County for this year was $3,444,687 plus $1 million contribution towards the reserve balance, for a total contribution this year of $4.4 million. That's listed in the next table or section there. The FY20 levy for Woodbury County was set at $2,850, and their population is still 102,429. So in total, they're going to be collecting tax revenue of $2,919,227. So I'll just continue to track this balance on a monthly basis. I just wanted you to know that this will show so that you can keep tabs on where we're at with Woodbury. So the total contribution minus the payments to date, which is a corrected amount of $1,231,592.33, brings the balance to $3,213,094.67. So that is the balance of the year. And then, of course, next year when we reconcile and move forward into the next fiscal year, this will not be tracked separately, it will be tracked together as a region. Any questions?
Is there anything else that anybody would like to see as part of the financial report? I know she pulled the Woodbury separate. It's kind of, at least for this first, few months anyway. It's just something, it's new to us all, so I think we can all have that information. Is there anything anybody else would like to see part of this report?
Since you pulled this together without totally exact information, if there's any major changes, let us know.
Okay. It should be relatively close.
I don't expect it to be exactly the same.
Yeah, I think it should be pretty close, but this is the best projection I can give you as of yesterday.
Thank you.
Okay. Is there a motion to accept the financial report as presented?
I'll move we accept the financial report as reported with the note that Woodbury County's data is not totally complete.
Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Scott. A motion from Dennis, a second from Scott to accept the financial report. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, next up is the fiscal year 2018 audit report.
Okay, I hope we don't have a lot of questions because the 2018 audit was a long time ago, even though we just got it done. No, I sent it out for you to be able to review. I know they weren't the best copies, but of course the way the document is put together and binder, they're very large sheets. It's hard to really get to work on a copier. So for the 7 counties for fiscal year 18, we ended with a net position of governmental activities of $4,318,258. The only deficiency that was found in the audit was the same deficiency that was noted the prior year, which related to segregation duties. And because we took that into consideration at the beginning of fiscal year 19 and put a process in place for the board to actually review claims versus the monthly expenditure report, it had not transpired until this last fiscal year, so it had to be noted in this audit, and we had to respond, and the response to that I included for Consultant Blitzier, our independent auditing firm, is that we have put a process in place for the board to review a claims list against the expenditure report, and then they sign off that the exact amounts were paid out. And Tammy Carlson, who does our audit, reminds me every time that I have a lot of autonomy in my job. There is always room for fraud, fraudulent practices. Obviously, I wouldn't do that, or I'm not in a position that I would do that, but of course she reminds me that, it happens. And so that's why they want the oversight of the claims payments. But it passes the rigorous testing before it even goes through. It goes to the auditor's office. The auditors have to match up with the invoice being selected for being submitted. And so, I think it would be a challenge to be able to do something like that. But not going to happen. It's just one thing that they noted in the audit.
And I know a lot of the boards we sit on, you see a lot of these audits, and I'd be willing to say that almost all of them, you always have that deficiency, segregation of duties. I mean, it's just everybody tries to be as streamlined as we can, but it isn't. Okay. Does anybody have any questions on the audit? Do you want a motion then do we need a motion to accept this? Is there a motion to accept the fiscal year 2018 financial audit?
I'll move.
Thank you, Cecil. Is there a second? Thanks, Jeremy. We have a motion and a second to accept the fiscal year 2018 audit report. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
One last thing that I should have mentioned is that the hard copy that you received was your copies to provide to your auditor's office.
Thank you. Letter C under number 7, the Crawford County Memorial Hospital contract. We got.
Okay. Finally received a signed contract back from Crawford County Memorial Hospital a week ago. They had sent it through a legal review and there were no major changes whatsoever. It was a few language changes in the right at the beginning of the agreement. There was just some changing in terms of the wording of Crawford County and how they are designated. Other than that, they did not, they agreed to the contract, they agreed to the 50% reimbursement to Rolling Hills. The effective date of the contracts that they requested was August 1st, so for the July evaluations that were completed, we won't be able to recoup from Crawford County Memorial Hospital. Going forward, we will be reimbursing for their utilization.
So then that gives us all the contracts, this is the last one.
Yes.
so.
All 6 hospitals have agreed and contracts in place for some reimbursements.
Any questions on the Crawford County Memorial Hospital contract? If not, is there a motion to accept the contract and authorize the chair to sign?
I'll move that we accept the contract with Crawford County Hospital.
Thank you, Neil. Is there a second?
Second.
Thanks, Brent. I have a motion and a second for approval of the Crawford County Memorial Hospital contract. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries as well. And then I'll sign that after, Don, I'll sign that after the meeting then. Number 8, new business and updates. Fiscal year 20 provider contracts. First one up is the iStart. Or is that?
Okay, so the iStart contract was presented to the board at the meeting, and the only question who requested some clarification on the service description on the attachment, because it could have been misinterpreted that the startup cost for each of the coordinator the first 2 years of region enrollment in the program. It looks like it would go back and be billed if you hire a replacement for one of the coordinators. And so I reached out to CSS region that developed the contract with that question, and her response was that the wording is pretty specific already. It says startup costs for each of the coordinator the first 2 years of region enrollment in the program. That would eliminate the issue you were referring to, no region practice cost after the first 2 years of enrollment. And as of October, we already have our first 2 years of enrollment. So essentially what they are doing with this contract now is we are going to a fee-for-service model instead of block grant, paying for the total monthly cost for the coordinator. So it's an $800 per member per month fee. And right now, according to, I talked to Felicia Bates yesterday, and the current coordinator has about 15 or 16 cases. So those will be billed out to us on a fee-for-service basis, which is the full block grant.
Okay, is there a, Neil, did that satisfy?
Yeah, that was my concern, you know,
Yep.
someone starts, and you understood that.
Yeah, okay.
Thanks for following up.
Sure.
So that was tabled, I believe, the last meeting. So is there a motion then to accept the iStart contract?
I'll move to accept the iStart contract.
Thank you, Vince. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. A motion and a second to approve the iStart contract. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Same sign. The motion carries. The ITP contract.
The only change in the ITP contract is that the jail usage, we used to contract essentially for 5 inmate visits for telepsych, and because there are a lot of regions now investing with ITP, they are looking at historical usage, and we were only utilizing on average 1 month. So what they did is they went to a base fee of $880 based on that historical monthly data, and we will not be paying the extra jail administrative fee. So it actually reduced our cost for the jail usage from a little over $1,000 a month down to $880. Other than that, the telehealth services and the emergency rooms, it's still a $450 rate. Yesterday when I visited with Felicia, at some point here in the future, we're going to have to look at the needs of Woodbury County. If there are needs for telepsych expansion, and particularly in their jail, we need to explore that a little bit further so that maybe coming at some point, currently this is the contract as it stands for the existing counties that are receiving that telepsych
There's, I think, 2 hospitals. St. Anthony's one, the one. What is the other one? It's not in.
BVRC and St. Anthony's are not part of it.
And they both have their own departments.
Just St. Anthony's has their own providers
Yeah.
because of their inpatient unit, and BVRC was already contracted with Foundation too.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions on the ITP contracts? All those in favor of approvals, or no, I gotta ask for a motion for approval. Is there a motion for approval for the ITP contract?
So moved.
Thank you, Brent. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Scott. I have a motion and a second for approval of the ITP contract. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Next up is the proposed rent basic needs policy.
Okay, this is something that's goes back to 2017. The coordinators and I worked on, we have this expectation in code that all regions will implement evidence-based practices. And that's been very slow to launch because a lot of the evidence-based practices are over and above what our current providers are already doing for some research-based services, and the cost of implementing EBs is going to be very high. So we looked at what we could do on a scaled-down version for evidence-based practices, and we decided to look into some housing first. And there is another region that was doing this already, and essentially it's receiving a rent subsidy payment, and if you enroll in that program, there's no expectation that you have to participate in services. So it's a model that is really just wrapping housing around an individual to keep them stable with their mental health. And because we know that people with mental health needs have, unstable housing at times, and then that can cause issues with someone's mental stability. Well, we had a policy together, and as it turned out, we were really slow to bring that to the board because we thought that this could really open up a lot of costs involved, because if you receive that rent subsidy, it's an ongoing subsidy. There is no end to that. So we decided to go back to the drawing board now because we have gotten a lot of requests over the last couple of years since we've had our transition home in Vail for rent basic needs for people coming out of the transition home who are still waiting for their Social Security payments to be authorized or eligibility for SSI. So these individuals are stuck in our transition home and they can't move out because they don't have any way to support themselves. So we've had a couple of situations where we've made an exception to policy to pay for these cases. I'm getting to the point that we're getting a lot of them. I'm very uncomfortable authorizing these when it's not a management plan and it's not a policy that we have to do these kinds of payments. So when we had a staff meeting back in July, that we really looked at what could be workable for all 8 counties, because with Woodbury County there is a high homeless population, and so we really wanted to put some parameters around this that isn't going to put us in financial straits, dire financial straits, because of the high homeless population in Woodbury. So we really pared it down to a specific group of individuals that can access these funds, and essentially it would be rent basic needs assistance for anybody who's at risk of facility placement, transitioning out of a residential care facility, a crisis stabilization unit, or a transitional program, and have no or very limited income. And if you look down under item or bullet 5, we added in there that the cap is going to be $500 per month for rent and basic needs, and that any exception would be approved on a case-by-case basis by the CEO, and that it's a maximum of 3 months. So that if someone is seeking that rent and basic need assistance through the region, then a coordinator would become involved with them right away so that they can link them with some financial assistance to be able to afford their living expenses. So it's just going to be a stopgap measure. So questions on that?
Who in our organization would look at these applications?
Applications usually come through the coordinators. They are aware of, like, Louise is involved with everybody at the transition home. Melissa and Ms. Mayor and the coordinators, wherever the person is at that turning point, they are involved. So there's already that linkage up front, but there could be some outliers. You know, we just didn't want to open up the whole gamut of people applying for this assistance, that it really needed to be targeted down to the people that are in services. So I think it's a good safety net for us because we don't have a huge amount budgeted for this, and yet it's going to be able to meet the needs of some of the people that are backed up in either Stepping Stones or transition home or an RCF, and maybe could move out into the community with proper supports. So it's really focused on that level, but the coordinators will be assisting with those applications.
The last sentence of this policy says that this board will cap it with a budgeted amount or something like that. Do you have an amount in mind?
We considered that. We don't know what that cap amount would be. I mean, I think in total, I have to look, Neil, but I know we always had, just for the 7 counties, we had $7,500 in there. And I don't believe that Woodbury had any on streets and searching cancer. Julie, you might know. Do you recall, did you guys have anything in your budget for rent-based needs at all through Sioux Rivers, Woodbury? Okay, so then it'd just be the $7,500. That's all we have in there right now. We've never exceeded it, but it seems like we're getting more and more requests.
This is kind of related to this, is residency. Did that go out the window with some past legislation? Because there are individuals that come out of MHI that don't always go back to the county or the area they came from.
If
And
they come out of Cherokee and they move into Cherokee, Iowa, they are rolling hills.
this is kind of an incentive to stay in Cherokee rather than
Could be seen that way, yeah.
going back.
And maybe Neil has, and I'm not expecting action on this today, I didn't list it that way. I wanted to give you the information and we can, give this some further thought, examination, and permit at a later meeting. And Neil might have a point that is subject to the cap that we have in our budget, and just put it in there subject to budget amount for the fiscal year.
Don, can a person apply for this more than once though? Somehow if they go back in and they get back out, can they apply for it the second time? Or is this like a
I
one-time?
don't think so. I mean, and you could restrict it however you want because this is not e-core service. So, bottom line is the whole purpose of doing this is to get people through the system and out into the community. And if it takes 2 times, it takes 2 times.
Well, that follows my next question is, why did you decide not to help on the deposits? Because if they don't have the money to pay for the rent, they probably don't have the money for the
That
deposit.
opens up a whole, there's another.
I know for it to try to come back, but I often thought if you come out of there, you have no money. If you don't have money for rent, you're not gonna have money for deposits, so you're still gonna be stuck, right?
When somebody's coming out of Stepping Stones, and say they move to Carroll or Crawford, and those are just because those are counties I work in, rent is the biggest need. The deposits for the electric and stuff, Wesco, Family Resource Center, they work with the utility companies very closely and very well, so they know how to negotiate that. Sometimes they can work making, like, say, pay an extra $5 a month until that deposit's paid back. It's the trust factor with those local providers, but landlords don't do that. So they just learn with their connections how to work with those. And like at Stepping Stones, most of the time they're working during the day and they're saving up some money to help pay as many of those deposits as they can when they leave Stepping Stones. It's just if they don't make enough money to pay their full rent and SSI hasn't been approved yet is where we have the big problems. Waiting for that SSI approval.
Well, and I think our concern with starting to pay deposits, I understand what you're saying, Scott. If we pay out a deposit and let's say the deposit's $400 and the apartment's vacated with $2,000 worth of damage, are we liable for that? Mm-hmm. I didn't want to get into a situation like that. That's why I think we looked at just limiting it to rent-based needs.
So basically, this will be administered as a first come, first served.
If you put a budgetary cap in there, that is very possible. if you want to restrict it to what we have budgeted, you know, we can do that.
And most county general budgets, I know Carroll, Crawford, and Lytle, they do not allow for deposits or past due payments. So this kind of just follows that general relief philosophy.
And we do have money budgeted.
Yes, we have, at least, we kept it at 7,500 for the year.
Okay, so that basically if they max out at 500 in 3 months, that's, we're gonna end up with 5
Right.
people or 5 uses of it.
Yep. We have 7,500 budgeted for basic needs, rent payments, and at the time I did the budget, we expended 2,800 in 6 months.
Can we restrict this to individuals that come out of either the transition homes that are funded by our region or our crisis centers, and not open it up to everything else?
Well, I thought the way it talked, we had to have, they had to be already receiving services from the region, right? To be eligible?
I have to think that one through, because we might have a person, I have it listed in the policy, probably more general when we were looking for this, but you can have someone that is from our region. Turning Point decides that this person's been through our program 4 or 5 times. There's no point in bringing it back, which doesn't happen very often. But we have had situations where one of our residents ends up in another crisis stabilization unit somewhere in the state, Waterloo. And it's really expensive to do that. I would hate to have that person need to stay there because they don't have the ability to support themselves and move on. Because it's supposed to be a 3 to 5 day stay, and it's like $450 a day. I end up getting $3,000 bills for 5 days of stay, and some have to be extended if they don't have any ability to support themselves. I hate to limit it just to ours for that reason.
But if we're paying for their services in another residential home,
Which we could continue paying for that on a daily rate of what we would pay a month for
yeah,
their
but
rent.
wouldn't there still be, could we describe it so that if we're paying for a service and they're still, if they're in our residential, if they're in our crisis home, if they're in our transition homes, or if we're paying for them in some other crisis or transition home, could we limit it to those? I'm just trying to,
So
the ones from
basically,
MHI still kind of,
they have to be our residents. They have to meet the residency criteria in order to get this
well,
money.
see, there's nothing in it that says that.
I think it states somewhere about, where was that? Something about meeting eligibility, I thought that there was. Yeah, number 1, individual must meet all eligibility guidelines according to the Rolling Hills Management Plan.
So then, that's in our,
That's in the residency cases down there.
Now, when you, going back to what you asked us, the clause in here about individuals who choose to reside outside of the region, that was an agreement between all of the CEOs in the state that if I'm going to place someone at Council Bluffs, that they are going to maybe need some hourly support and need local services, that the referring region will pay for the services for the first month, first 30 days, and then the new region picks that up. So that's already happening, so then we just added that in there in terms of the rent basic needs payments, because we already have that person. And so if they're choosing to move to another region, we would do it for 30 days. Before that, so that gives that time for the region to prepare for taking over on the region.
I have a question, Dawn. You were talking about maybe one of our clients being in a different region and getting sprung and then using the $500 a month to maybe help acclimate back into the community. If they need that money, are we maybe not addressing one need that might come up and that's some sort of transportation voucher? If they're sitting in Waterloo, for instance, how do they get money to get back here?
We have the Yes Center bring them back, and we pay for it already.
Okay.
Or some of your service providers will provide that transportation back. And if it's under a middle order, then usually the local sheriff takes the transport. But take this back, give it some thought. I would take any recommendations that I can incorporate into this, we can revisit this at the next board meeting. I'm not sure if I feel like I'm being directed to make all these changes, if you're asking questions about it, how this would work. But I think if you're wanting it to be narrowed down even more, just send me your suggestions and I can incorporate that and we can review it at the next meeting. How's that sound?
Well, it sounds to me like there's a need, that's why you're requesting this or whatever. If we would stop at the end and just say, okay, it's when $7,500 is gone, we're gone, put a cap on it, it would give us time to figure out if we need to budget more next year, or the year after, or whatever, and how it is working. The region's only risking $7,500. I'm not saying we're going to agree to this today, but I'm just saying,
Right.
if you put a cap on it, see how it works, and then find out all these other things that happen or come up every once in a while.
And I think if it's going to be an ongoing policy, that we wouldn't have to necessarily put a monetary amount in the policy, and it could just be subject to budgeting funds for the fiscal year, not to exceed. And then if we decide the next year to increase it, then we don't have to modify the policy.
I agree with what has been just said, because there's going to be problems which we failed to foresee perhaps. But if we limit our exposure, our money, and know what the problems are, we can fix it before it really gets out of hand, if that's the case that needs to be done.
Can I just mention that, at least with us too, we've had individuals that have stayed with us for a few months transitionally. And so I think at the back end of things, as far as how much you're paying per day, Don makes a really good point that if they're with us in our facility, that's $360 a day, perhaps, up to a transitional level. Whereas if we can move them out right away and pay that $500, you're saving, your extreme savings as far as the being in the assessment stabilization center is going to, be on the back end of things. So I think it would be very beneficial to have this particular program in place.
I guess I don't have any trouble proving it today if that residency issue has been addressed. So that was really my hang up on this whole deal.
Okay. Well, and I would be, if you want me to, I can add, instead of having it meeting the guidelines, I can clearly spell it out that they have to be a resident of a region. And then change the language to be budgeted, it cannot exceed the capped budget amount for the year. Okay.
So what do you want to do? Phyllis, you
Do you
want
want to make those changes now, or do you want to table it? Or would you be okay with making those changes and bringing it back a month from now? Is that going to be, or would you like to change them now?
However you want to do it. I'm open to how you guys decide. I can modify it, send it back out for your review if you would prefer that.
I'm okay with it. I'll make a motion to approve the rent basic need policy with the changes you just mentioned.
I'll second that.
Okay. I have a motion from Brent and a second from Dennis to move forward with the rent basic need policy with two changes that just
Inclusion
additions
of
to that.
residency,
Yeah, inclusion of residency and the cap.
And the budget cap.
Yep.
subject to the cap being the budget amount.
Correct.
What would the cap be then?
$7,500.
For this year, it'd be 7,500. Yeah. That's all we have to do.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, well, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion will carry. Okay. Then next up is the Children's Mental Health Plan Development Process.
Probably, if you took the time to read the advisory board minutes, state level and the development of the children's legislation. And the rules we, I am close to being brought to the commission. My understanding is that it's supposed to happen in September.
I guess we haven't got a firm deadline on it, other than that. I think we have to have it done by April. if my memory's
Plans have to
correct.
be, yes.
But we have to be
actual
noted, I mean,
rules.
the rules have to be brought to us, and we have to basically approve them to be noticed, and then they get published, and there's public comment. So they're gonna have to come here in September, October, but they're really, as to what's in them, or what DHS is thinking, they haven't told us that commission that.
I have not seen a copy of the rules yet. I heard that, I asked Jan Hikes about it last week, and she said that I could get a copy from my peers. I don't know why DHS can't release it, but I hope to get my hands on a copy of it before we have our first Children's Mental Health Implementation Plan meeting that I have scheduled with a group of individuals that have been invited to the table on August 27th. So that's all right, please.
August 27th, you're in Holstein and Tennessee.
Sorry. I'll forward it on. Yeah, so it's August 27th, here in Holstein at 10 o'clock, and I received from our advisory board, we had a gal come from Carroll, Cindy Durkoff. Do you know her, Neil? And she's with the AEA Early Childhood Program. She got wind of the Children's Mental Health System implementation, and she wanted to be involved. So she came to our advisory board and gave me a full list of people that, in the Northwest Iowa area, that would be instrumental stakeholders at the table for the children's system. So when I sent out that email, I believe I included the governance board to that. I copied you into that just to keep you aware that we're moving forward with that. And it seems like I got a response from everybody that everybody's interested in going to a lot more people. So I don't know how large this group is going to be, but at the first meeting, this is uncharted territory for all of us. The children's side of things, I know Hermit, nice to have you here. Annie Freed is going to be attending, and then there's another individual from Jackson. I have to look back at the email, but there's two that are going to be coming, and they already have a crisis stabilization program for youth. And I did have the opportunity to tour Jackson a couple of months ago, and I was very, very impressed with the organization. It'll be great to have them at the table, but this is going to be, different for all of us. Hopefully what we're already putting in place for the adults in terms of core service development, this can just be an extension of what we're already going to be developing in the whole crisis. Crisis stabilization will need to be expanded because you can't blend the two population groups together under one roof. So stay tuned, but I did invite Jan Hikes to come and walk through the implementation guide. I've asked her to start off the meeting because this is the first organizational meeting with an overview of the legislation and how we got to this point, and then talk through the implementation guide as far as all the steps that we have to complete and incorporate into a mental health plan by April 1st of next year. So we have a big task in front of us with this children's mental health plan. So just wanted to let you know that's where we're at. You guys are free to join us at the first meeting and all of them. We will still get a copy of into that. I thought I included Rachel's app. I apologize. I'm forward on to you. What is an oversight? So
It is
yes,
here.
definitely when you're there.
What's the time? Here on the 27th?
27th at 10 o'clock.
10 o'clock.
Do most of us have, do most of us have board meetings on Tuesdays?
Oh yeah, that is a Tuesday.
Is it?
Yeah.
Well,
I will definitely, if you can't be here, I'm going to continue to send out minutes and board meeting notices so that you're aware of the discussion and what transpires in the meetings. So that's all I have as far as the implementation. So unless you have any questions.
all right. Any other business that we need?
Dennis, do you think we need to mention anything in regards to payment, or do you think that will be resolved?
It should be resolved.
I think
It'll be resolved.
unless you, Paul, do you think I need to mention it to this board, or are we good?
No, I think we're fine. If something changes though, we need to.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, so next up then would be scheduling the next meeting. Which,
The fourth Wednesday of September is September 25th.
September 25th. Are those, Scott, you always have, do you have a lot of conflicts with those things, or are you?
Last meeting, I had IDDA, and they moved the meeting up to Humboldt. That's why I couldn't make it from Humboldt back to here.
Okay.
in time. But I don't know which county we're going to next, so I don't know how far away it is.
Okay.
It might be close too, so.
Does anybody have a conflict with Wednesday, September 25th at 2 o'clock? Would there be a motion to set the meeting for that date and time?
You go at 2 o'clock or 2:30?
What do we usually,
Well, we were doing 2:30 and we bumped it up to, I can't recall. Well, I think it was because the time before Scott couldn't be here, so we
Yeah.
ended up starting at 2.
we just,
And now we did the same thing for this meeting, and we can go back to 2:30. I don't have an issue with that.
Doesn't matter to me.
2:30? Does that help you out then?
We'll see, I got a conservation meeting that day too, at noon, but 2:30, then I can make it from there to here.
Okay,
Because my IDDA one's in Emmitsburg that day. I can make it from there to Rockwell. So, yeah. I'll make it work.
2:30 better for you then?
Yeah.
Okay. So that would be the suggestion, is that your motion, then set it at 2:30 on the 25th?
So moved.
Thanks, Brent. Is there a second?
Unless the beans are ready.
I don't think so. We may be.
Two or 2:30 is not gonna make a difference.
Yeah, okay.
Did we have a second?
Did you get a second?
Yeah, Dennis. Okay, all in favor of setting the next meeting for the 25th at 2:30, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And we are set. Motion carries. Okay, thank you all for coming and. Oh, we need a motion to adjourn, yes.
So moved.
Thanks, Scott. Thanks, Neil. We are adjourned. We're all in favor. Say aye. Aye.
As long as you're meeting short, then I go to the advertisement, 7 o'clock.
Okay, well, so it's too late for you. They can't do it. What are you gonna do if Harmon does? You hired all that. Got a bunch of migrants.
No, Trump took them all over. ICE come and got him.
You made it that far north?
So Carl kind of made the comment, he says, you know, he says, him and I said, like, we're voting on a lot of stuff, tax doesn't have nowhere near as much.
Okay.
But he also says he's probably not going to get due to the document, but they're looking at the links he's taking for others. See ya.